Hello, beautiful people. Good evening. Welcome, everyone. It's good to see you. Aria's back with us this week. Yay! It's good to see you. So, welcome to episode number 65 of Restitching the Tapestry. It's great to have all of you here with us. It's kind of hard to believe that we're on episode 65 already, but we are. Because it seems like yesterday we were literally just doing episode 50 when you were here when we were doing it in person. But we wanted to continue our conversation tonight, actually. No, I don't have a new hairdo. I just didn't do anything with it. But thank you, Leo. But tonight we wanted to continue our conversation about seasonal depression, which we started way back in episode number 21, which was, of course, what feels like eons ago at this point. But we're going to kind of, obviously, Sherri, we now have your perspective when it comes to talking about that. But we also just want to like expand it out and talk about like in general why winter is such an exhausting season mentally, especially for us northern Midwestern people. So yeah. So before we get started talking about all that stuff, let's share how we've been doing and what we've been up to lately. Ari, you go first. How have you been? What have you been up to?
I'm tired. I'm just tired. I did see Licorice Pizza today, which, wow, that's a doozy of a movie. It's hard. I did a review on it on my channel, but oh man, it is. It's got some ickiness to it. Like it's icky, like putting licorice on pizza and trying to eat it.
Oh, no. Well, that'll do it.
That will do it.
And it's kind of fitting that you're tired considering what our topic is tonight, right?
Right.
Sherri, how about you?
I am okay. Like I told y'all before we went live, I had quite a stressful day today. Correcting a video incident that I had for a class. Yeah, so I basically had to correct a 3-hour video by going through slide at a time and inserting slides in where there were none. So that was fun. Took me all day, but I got it done. It's done. It's all rendered. Don't
I'm
have
very
to
proud
deal
of you.
with that.
Video editing can be very exhausting.
It's very exhausting. So that's what I've got.
Well, we are now at the end of the week and we've survived, and that's what matters, right?
Mhm.
We've somehow survived. Leo says, oh, thank you, Leo. I appreciate that. And Leo says, I'm doing pretty good personally. My botanical tarot deck should be delivered by tomorrow, and I'm excited. Leo actually gave me a reading the other day.
Oh.
I don't think that was with your botanical tarot deck, though, was it? I don't think so. Oh, Kaishana is here. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Kaishana is a new follower that we have who
Ooh.
watched our prior episode of Restitching the Tapestry. Oh no, I'm sorry that you're angry right now. I hope that you feel better and that everything's okay. But it's regardless, it's really good to have you, and we're always grateful to have new people watching us and interacting with us. So all right, before we get on to talking about our topic tonight, I'm going to, per the usual, go over our show's mission statement. So we live in a dynamic society where social media shapes us by creating greater opportunities for connection. It has led to a developing understanding of the adversity many marginalized communities face, the powers causing the adversity, and those who act as bystanders as atrocities take place in real time. Our goal with this show is to make connections and have challenging conversations about social topics, current events, pop culture, and art. Together, let's weave the threads of understanding with what privilege we have in order to learn, educate, and create in a world that's growing. So welcome. So I'm gonna, of course, begin by checking out the comments because we've been getting quite a few comments. So that was my Fairy Dragon Oracle deck. It's a very beautiful deck. It was a very delightful reading. Kaishana says, there are many reasons I'm angry. One reason is because my math course makes me feel like I am failing because I seem to not be able to turn in the assignments. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Math is, don't even get me started.
Right.
Leo's commenting on your praying hands, Ari.
I just do it now just to see if he'll say anything.
You're gonna turn into like a meme or a GIF at some point.
I do this. I don't quite do this. Sometimes I kind of go as far as that, but yeah.
I love it. Oh, I'm really sorry, Kaishana, that was going on. So, winter. We are in the thick of it, aren't we, my friends? So, just to give many of you context, in Michigan here, we just had a pretty substantial snowstorm. Wasn't as bad for our areas as it was for Ari, did you guys get a lot of snow over in Muskegon? Yeah, okay. I was gonna say you're by the lake. You probably got dumped on.
I mean, it's better now, but like a couple days ago, I definitely didn't want to go outside because it was a little too much.
It's always too much in my opinion. But we had enough snow to have a snow day yesterday. Well, a partial snow day. But of course, we are now we're in February, which is terrifying to think. And this is usually the month where we really start feeling the weight of the season, especially when it comes to seasonal depression, so on and so forth. So to backtrack a little bit on what we talked about in episode 21, we talked at length in that episode about the different symptoms of seasonal depression, how at that time how Ari and I had kind of maneuvered and navigated through our experiences with seasonal depression. And I think we just reflected in general about how our mental health in the winter just seems to be dismal, right? Or at least at a very sensitive threshold where we're experiencing, very distinct lows. So I guess now that we've had that context set up, let's think a little bit about how this winter has been affecting us mental health wise, right? So how has winter affected both of you, whether for better or worse? Sherri, do you want to go first this time?
Sure. So I don't really get those. I mean, I get it in that I understand that people get it and it's a thing in the world and I understand why people get it. But I didn't know that seasonal depression was a thing until I heard about it. It started to become talked about in popular media because I don't get seasonal affective disorder. I don't know if I'm just always depressed or what it is, but I don't get I don't know. I don't feel any different in the winter than I do the rest of the time. I basically don't like leaving the house anyway, so not leaving the house isn't a big problem for me. And actually, I actually feel better in the wintertime than I do in the summer because of my autoimmune disorder. I'm very sensitive to the sun. And so the cloudier it is and the darker it is, the better I feel. So, and I tend to be kind of a night owl because of that. So really, I guess I was just built for the wintertime.
For me, it's a double-edged sword because I love dark, gloomy weather.
Yeah.
But then, of course, once I'm exposed to it for an extended period of time, I'm just I'm like a little sad plant that's wilty. I need a little serotonin sunshine boost. I don't know why I'm doing this. This will be my gift, I guess, for memory's sake.
I'm I guess I could live here, Seattle, Scotland, I would thrive in these kinds of climates, but maybe further north, I don't know, really super cold, I don't know, all year long, that might get to be a bit much, but we have the seasons change, you know what I mean? So
right, yeah. Ari, how about you? How has winter affected you this year specifically?
It's funny that you mentioned Seattle, Sherri, because I lived in Seattle and I didn't think it was so bad until I was like, oh boy, I've been depressed for a while now.
Oh no.
So it's like, yeah, because I moved from California to like the desert into Seattle, and it was just like the worst. I could feel myself falling into myself like really heavy and like shriveling up. Like, where's that vitamin D? Give me the good stuff, Mama.
Oh my goodness.
Um,
Yeah. The transition from the desert to Seattle sounds like a very jarring transition.
It really is, yeah. But since I've been home to Muskegon, I have good winters and bad winters. This winter has been particularly hard on me because for some reason, just coming up on the 4-year anniversary of my first manic episode, it just really triggered my mental health in so many ways. Like, I just became manic and delusional, and it was just like, I felt like this was like a really like my delusions told me that this was kind of like a monumental year for some reason. I don't know specifically why. Um, but because I went the last couple winters and it was no big deal. Like I just kind of went through it. But this year has been really tough for some reason.
I'm sorry about that. I hope that the remainder of the winter gets a bit easier for you. For me, I would say that up until probably like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I've been handling winter pretty well. Like most of December and January, I've been fine. But I could tell that it was starting to get to me like starting like January 15th onward. I've been going through like depressive lows where I've been like having really hard time, like a really hard time getting out of bed. I've been like the other day, like what was it, Sunday? All I did was do the dishes, and I felt that it was like the most monumental thing that I could do. Like I was just like, I accomplished cleaning the dishes. Oh my god. And for me, like,
You're such a go-getter doing dishes.
I know, oh my god, like I deserve an Emmy for that. But I I guess what really has been getting to me is like toward like the end of January and into February, those are for some reason that's the part of winter where I start thinking too much. Like I end up overthinking things, overanalyzing things. Um I tend to be like really hyper paranoid about things. Like lately my issue, I literally somebody could be liking a series of comments in a chat and skip mine, and I might be like, oh my god, are they mad at me? Do they hate me? What's going on? And then like it kind of turns into like the snowball effect of like I'm a horrible person and I don't want to exist, kind of like over something small like that, right? Now usually I'm able to kind of catch myself doing that and be like, Donny, like come on, like these are irrational thoughts that you're having, and they're kind of spiraling out of control. Since I've been put on medication, that's not as bad. Like it's kind of like dulled a little bit, but it's still there, and I think it can get really overwhelming sometimes. But I know, Leo, you mentioned in the comments that it hit me hard, I guess. I'm fine one moment, and the next I feel so drained. For me, like being drained is, yeah, like that's kind of what happens to me too, unfortunately.
Oh, I just noticed Sophia's here.
Oh,
Hi,
Sophia, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to miss you. It's good to see you. So, okay, so we kind of already, well, let's pose this question. Do we love winter enough to like welcome it every year as part of the cycle, or could we easily live without winter? Sherri, I think I know your answer to this question.
Sorry, no, my partner's over here making lots of noise, and I'm trying to shoo him
Oh,
out of
you're
the
good.
room. That's what that look was for. That was aimed at you.
I was gonna be like, oh no, I'm kidding.
It was evil eye at the partner coming in here and making noise.
So, would you rather have it be winter or another season, and why?
Me first.
Yeah.
Actually, fall is my favorite season. It's like the perfect, like late fall. You know what I mean? Like it's the perfect kind of mix. Like after the trees are turned and even after all the leaves have fallen, I love that too. Like the blanket of leaves, just this carpet of leaves on the ground is so beautiful. And, and it's misty and rainy and it's like the sky's really dramatic and, it's very cloudy most of the time and it's chilly. That's like, sweater layered clothing weather. Like that's my jam. Like anytime I have to like wear skimpy clothes because I'm hot, I'm not about that life. Like I want layers of clothing. I want cute boots. I want, like warm, fuzzy, comfy things to wear. I'm naturally a very warm person. Like I'm usually overheated most of the time. So, anytime I could wear layers of clothing, I'm excited about it. So fall is best. Winter might actually be second for me because it's also beautiful and dramatic and cool and comfortable. Like we don't get a lot of really, really cold weather in Michigan. Not where we're at in Michigan. We don't get a lot of really, really cold weather. We get a few days, maybe a week here and there, but it doesn't usually get too cold. It usually hovers in the 20s and 30s. That's not horrible. My coat's unbuttoned. You know what I mean? Like that's not the worst. So
I've literally gone out in shorts in that weather.
Right? Exactly. Like it's not that bad. So yeah.
Put a little umbrella in my yard in the snow. I'm kidding. Ari, how about you?
So there's kind of an overlap with Sherri. Like she likes late fall. I love early fall. Like when it's just after summer. And so like you have elements of fall, but it's still warm out like summer. So I love that weather because it's a little discombobulating because you're like, it's supposed to be fall now. It's supposed to be chilly. And it's like, it's not chilly. It's still hot. And I'm like, I love it. I love that.
It's like that time of year where like mornings and evenings are chilly, but during the day it like actually heats up and still feels like summer, right? Like that you like September-y kind of.
September, early October. It's like it's really cold in the morning, and then in the afternoon it's like 75 degrees.
So I'm gonna be weird. My favorite season is the earliest part of spring where like the snow's melting and everything looks like a mess, but like you can start smelling that spring is coming. And like one of my favorite feelings to experience, like because my family owns like in northern Michigan, they own like 200 acres of property that has like a river on it and so on and so forth. I love being able to like go out and listen to the actual snow melting. I think it's such a cool like existential experience. But I also love fall. I love the smell of rotting vegetation. That's technically what it is.
Right.
Rotting vegetation. It smells so good.
It's that earthy smell though. Yeah, there's just something so
I found a word that meant it the other day and I can't remember what it is.
Yeah.
Petrichor.
Oh yeah.
I think that's what it is. It either means that or it means like the smell after it rains or something like that. But you know what? As much as I love those seasons, I love me a good summer thunderstorm. I do. Like I love me a thunderstorm.
Yeah.
That is the biggest serotonin rush I get all year is when we're having thunderstorms.
Speaking of smell after the rain, that's what I love about summer is like it'll storm and then like you'll go for a walk like on the sidewalk and it has that very specific like wet cement smell that like as the heat's rising, it smells so good.
I love that too. It is amazing. So Panda is here. It's good to see you, Panda. I don't think you commented earlier. Did I miss anything? No. Oh, wait, you did comment earlier. I apologize. I thought you had just commented first. I'm out of it, as you can tell. But so we clearly all have like our own individual areas. Like honestly, as much as winter does get to me at some point, I don't think I would not want to experience winter because I really do enjoy like that feeling you get when you go outside and it's so silence because it's like snowing all around you. Like that's such a really cool feeling to experience. So yeah, I do. There are aspects of winter that I love. It's just once February comes around and you've been experiencing it for a long time. Like, but I also feel that way in the summertime when August comes around. Like after it's been like hot for like 2 months, I'm just like,
Can we not?
I'm just like, I'm sitting in a chair and I'm still sweating, not doing anything. This is terrible.
How I feel about February is that it's the shortest and longest month of the year. I don't know what it is about February, but February always feels like it lasts freaking forever.
Yeah.
It does. Oh my goodness.
I think part of the problem with like February through March is there's not like any big holidays. Like there's Valentine's Day, but that can be awful, right?
Right.
There's, I guess, St. Patrick's Day, but you know, again, there's not like any big holidays. You know, you don't get another big holiday. I don't know.
Till Easter.
Till Easter, really? Yeah.
Well, I think that with the fact that in February there's no observable, if that's even a word, transition in the seasons. Like you can't really see that there is a transition taking place.
Right.
Whereas once March arrives, it becomes a little bit more dynamic and you can start seeing hints of spring approaching, right? So I think that's why like August kind of becomes exhausting for people who don't like summer, and why February becomes exhausting for winter people who don't like winter. So
it makes sense.
So let's think about like the different places that we've lived. In those places, what was winter like? And did you have like similar seasonal depression in those places? Ari, I know like you're way more traveled than I am, so
yeah. So I lived in some very interesting places. I lived in Iowa, which winter there is so much worse than Michigan, because they don't use salt on the roads; they use sand. So the roads become untravelable during like after a snowstorm, and the snowstorms are pretty bad there. So like they'll do things like they'll do what are called tow bans. And basically what that means is that tow truck drivers won't pull you out of a ditch if you get stuck. Like someone from the Iowa Department of Transportation has to pick you up and take you home, and then you have to call the tow truck the next day.
Why do they? What's that about?
It's because they don't want to put the safety of the tow truck drivers, because people will just like go in, like several people go into a ditch all at once. So like apparently it would put the lives of the tow truck drivers at risk to do it.
I mean, I guess if there's like a traffic like an accident pileup or something, I guess that could be dangerous.
Like, okay, let me jump a question. It says, what's the scariest thing you've ever seen during a winter storm? So this is what happened when I was in Iowa. So I was driving home for Christmas, and there had been a horrible blizzard, and all of the roads were basically like pure ice. So I was driving like 15 miles an hour on the highway because I was like, I got to get home. I got to get home. I drove through Des Moines, which is the largest city in Iowa. It's the capital too. And it looked like it was out of The Walking Dead. Like there were just so many. There were trucks, semi-trucks that were flipped over and like gutted. There were cars that had the doors open on them, but there was nobody in them. Like I would say I saw probably like 3 or 4 dozen cars on the side of the road in like one concentrated area.
That's intense. Wow.
And it was in 2012, so it was around the time that people were like, "Oh, the world is ending," and I'm like, "It really is ending." But I haven't experienced a winter that bad since Iowa. Because I lived at Grand Canyon, and there was some snow at Grand Canyon. People don't think it snows there because the elevation is like, they think it's the desert, but the elevation is so high that it's like you're on a mountain. It's like 7,500 feet or something. The best place to live is Death Valley because it was summer all year round. It was just like, oh, I guess it's a little colder today. I should wear a light jacket because it's only 75 degrees today.
Whereas here, and if it's 75, we're like tank tops and shorts and all that.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Rebecca.
Oh, Rebecca's here. I lived in Utah for a while, and it was strange having so much sunshine all the time. It felt more foreign than many of the other places I've lived.
Ah.
I can imagine, yeah. Welcome to our show. It's good to have you here. Sherri, have you lived abroad, like out of state or anything by any chance? So
I've always lived here.
I mostly have always lived here as well, aside from living in Missouri for 2 years. And
What was it like living in Missouri?
it sounds very similar to the way you described Iowa, honestly. I mean, I know they're basically bordering one another, of course, but in Missouri, I don't like it used to get really cold sometimes, but we wouldn't get like a lot of snow, but there would be a lot of ice storms. Like we would get so many ice storms. Seasonal depression still affected me the same way there because it was still like very, very cloudy a lot of the time. So, but like the snow, like the driving was a lot easier. Although I will say they would put sand on their roads down there too, as opposed to salt. So,
Yeah.
So weird.
It's because they don't like to build up the nitrogen on the side of the highway. Because that's what happens when you put ice on the roads is the nitrogen builds up on the side of the highway. That's why you get a lot of like growth in those ditches and stuff. And that's why you get a lot of deer on the side of the road is because they're eating that nitrous rich grass.
Right.
I did not know that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense, but also at the same time, better than all that just death and destruction. Better than your town looking like, The Walking Dead. Like you described it, like sounds horrific.
It's pretty bad, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Leo says, some years back we got 3 feet of snow in one night. I couldn't even get through the front door. That sounds terrible.
I couldn't handle 3 feet. I think the most I've ever seen in Michigan is 2 feet, 2.5 feet.
So I'm old enough to remember the blizzard of 78.
Ooh.
The weird thing about that is I don't at all remember the blizzard of 78. Isn't that funny? So everybody I know talks about it, and my partner remembers it clearly, but he's 10 years older than I am. So he remember it more clearly than I do. I don't remember it at all. Like I would have been, let's see, 78. Do I want to give away my age? Sure. I would have been 7 years old. So I'm pretty sure I was just playing in the house and didn't even like, snow day.
For you back then, like playing in the snow was probably like exciting. So
yeah, the best thing ever. So, snow day from school and that's it, literally.
See, I don't mind snow as long as it's like fresh powder snow. Like everything looks great and like it looks like a very magical winter wonderland. But the minute it turns icy or slushy, like it turns that dirty brown color.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm over it. I'm like, this is nasty. That's why I hate February so much is because everything just turns to slush. And it's just like, it's cold, but it looks dirty and it's just not fun.
Yeah.
One thing I do remember that's changed here, having lived in the same town my whole life, I live next to the sugar beet plant here in Bay City. And so now everybody can dox me, right? Dox away. My life is so boring. I'll leave cool stuff in the trash for me. Just let me know if you're going to stop me. So I live next to the sugar beet factory, and it's got to smell because making sugar is stinky. It's just a stinky business. But also, like in the 70s, like the snow around here was gray, just all the time. It was just awful gray from the factory. And like in this neighborhood, I grew up in this neighborhood too when I was a kid. And then we moved away, and then I moved back as an adult and bought this house. And like the snow now is like crystal white. It's just beautiful. And people still complain about the smell, and they're like, oh, the sugar beet factory is poisoning us. It's like, I'm here to tell you it's not. Like whatever cleanups they were forced to do in the 70s, they did, and they took seriously. Like it is so much nicer here, and it is so much different. Like it's just amazing. Like the only thing that comes out of their smokestacks now is just steam.
I feel like I never smell the sugar beet plant anymore.
You're just used to it now.
Well, that could be it. That is true. Because that smell travels far and wide.
It does indeed.
Kaishana says that Wisconsin is wacky. One moment it's sunny, and then the next moment it's below zero. That sounds like Michigan, definitely. I mean, considering we're so close state-wise.
Yeah.
Rebecca says we got 4 to 5 feet in one day in Utah, but it's funny it goes right back to clear skies right afterward.
Whoa.
And then Leo referencing what he said earlier. I had to practically swim back from the backyard to the front. The crazy thing is they didn't even clear out our road. All the neighbors were digging trenches to each other's houses.
Oh. Wow.
That sounds kind of fun. So do you think that, well, let's focus a little bit on like upkeep when it comes to the winter time, right? Like, do you ever feel overwhelmed about like the basic upkeep necessary in the winter time? Like having to like warm up the car and needing gas for that, scraping and scrubbing, keeping stuff in your vehicle in case of emergencies. What do you both think about that?
Well, for me, sometimes if it snows a lot and I haven't gone outside in a few days, the snow will pile up on my car and like around my tires, because they only do so much where they'll clear out the drive, so they don't really clear out around the car. I had to have my nephews come by and like scrape off my car because I had like this much snow on it, and I was like, I am not doing that myself. You're gonna have to do it for me. So my nephews came by and helped me out. But usually if it's just like a little bit of snow or like a moderate amount of snow, I can clean it off. But when those storms come that are a lot of snow, I really feel the crunch of, I don't really want to do this. I don't think I can do this. I'm just going to wait until spring.
Sherri, how about you?
So I'm a little spoiled. I'm a lot spoiled. I have a fantastic partner. This is where I apologize to my partner for the evil eye for coming over here and making noise. I have a fantastic partner who like takes care of the sidewalks, so that's not a thing I have to worry about. And I'm too short to clear off my car, so he also clears off my car for me if he can, like if he's able to. Yeah. So between him and we have a neighbor that will sometimes come through and snow blow the sidewalks. So between the two of them, like I haven't shoveled my walk in an embarrassing amount of years. And I'm grateful for that. So I guess I don't really feel that crunch too much. Like I'm mildly annoyed if I have to, if I get out of work or whatever. And I've worked from home for the last 2 years, largely. So that's been a privilege too. You know what I mean? So I guess that probably does change and colors my relationship to the winter, is that I don't actually have to actively engage with it that much unless I choose to. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's not always been the case, of course, but just in recent years, I've been very, very fortunate.
Yeah. So Leo says,
I'm totally jealous of you right now.
Leo says I can handle everything except shoveling. Oh my God. Rant incoming. I had to shovel today, and I literally thought that I could get through all winter this year without having to do any extensive shoveling. Like, we haven't gotten a lot of snow up until now. Mm-hmm. And I've been just letting it pile up, and like our cars go over, and I'm like, oh, it's tamped down. Like, we're good, right? Oh no. We got enough snow where it's like, it's impossible to maneuver. Yeah. So I had to get out and shovel, and I literally thought I was going to die. I never realized just how out of shape that I am. How out of shape I am until today.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness.
Rebecca had a comment about living in the UK. She's been all over.
Oh, wow. It shut down the entire transit system, just a dusting of snow. That's so interesting. That's kind of how it was in Missouri for me, too. Like even like the very threat of snow, everything was shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that in Seattle. It rains a lot in Seattle, but it's like misty rain. So like when it actually snows, like when it gets cold enough to snow, everything just shuts down. It's like the buses can't handle it, and like businesses get like, they can't open their doors and stuff. Because when it snows, it'll snow for like 3 or 4 inches when it does. So it's like really dramatic when it does snow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Leo says, give me freezing rain, just a bit of salt, and that's resolved. I don't know if I agree with
No,
that one.
hard pass.
I would rather have sleet than freezing rain, because at least sleet, you can kind of like, it has texture to it, so it's not super slippery.
Yeah, I'd rather have snow than either one.
I mean, preferably have snow before the other two as well.
Yeah.
Panda says, just getting used to having a car to clean off again. Didn't miss that. Right.
Yeah.
And then Rebecca says, I definitely let my car get messier in the winter. I don't like cleaning it out in the cold. I don't either. My car is a wreck right now.
I don't care if it's winter or summer. I just don't like cleaning out my car.
So Rebecca and I used to work at the Renaissance Festival together, and there's a threshold. She still works for Renaissance Festivals. I'm the one that quit. There's a threshold there where it's like your car is so full of crap like all season long, and there's like a sweet spot of like fall to like get all your stuff in the house and get it all packed away and put away. Because if like, and like for us, because Donny and I are teachers, right? So then like fall is also like the beginning of the fall semester. So I have like a weekend where I have to like get everything out of my car. Otherwise, now I have this other thing I have to pay attention to. Because by the time like winter hits, it's just in my car until next season. It just lives there now. Like all my costumes and everything. It's
for
just
me,
all in there.
The mess transitions from my car to my office when school starts. It just transitions everywhere.
Right. I mean, I have a garage too. You think I would like stay? No, I couldn't even manage that. Sometimes it would just.
Oh God! Oh heck no. So
I just throw it in the trunk and forget about it for years. Like I have a leather jacket in my trunk that I have not touched in probably about 3 years.
Yeah.
I'm sure I have some archaeological digs I could do in my vehicle too. Okay, Shauna asks a really good question. What's everyone's favorite winter food? That's not one we've talked about yet.
That is a good question.
Ooh.
I know what I like.
I
like butternut squash. Butternuts, because I make butternut squash soup.
Oh my God.
I got it from Lisa. Lisa gave me her family recipe for butternut squash soup, and I use it quite regularly.
That sounds amazing.
It's very good.
Sherri, how about you?
Oh my gosh, I have a long list. You go, Donny.
Okay, so anything that's a soup and a stew, I love. And they're oddly the best things that I'm able to cook. So my partner gets driven nuts during the winter because I'm like, let's have soup every other day. I really love potato soup, like cheesy potato soup, because it's so, I mean, it's unbelievably unhealthy, but it's like, it's so wholesome and filling, and like after you eat it, you just want to be like, ugh.
Donny, the way you talk about potatoes sometimes, I think that you were a potato farmer in your last life.
Ari, I would traverse Mordor for potatoes. Like, if I had to save potatoes from the end of the world, I would save potatoes from the end of the world because I love them that much.
He would shove us out of the way to get at the potatoes to save them at the end of the world. I'm feeling. Be like, you have legs. You can do this. You're fine.
This poor potato. Yes.
Like
it's very
one hand
true.
on your face, one hand on my face, like out of the way.
Like, no.
Like, I don't care. I don't care what the damn potato is in. I don't care if it's a casserole, soup, a mashed potato, a fried potato, like all in my mouth. I want it all.
I'm feeling yeah. Gosh, if I had to say one food that I crave in the wintertime,
no, just give us the list.
Give us a list.
Well, it's gonna be carbs. I want carbs. That's all I want. So it's gonna be really like not just soup, but I want like the cream-based soups. So I want like, you know, my oyster soups. I want like my you know, pot pie soups. I want like a
clam chowder
soup. Yeah, clam chowder. I want like, you know, just like the really like milky, like fill me up, make me fat soups. I want Polish food. Oh, I want Polish food. I crave Polish food in the wintertime. See, I'm Slavic. I'm telling you, it's just like it's in my blood. Just I want to eat potatoes and like and be in the cold and just
See, that's
be
why you need to
happy.
come in like early fall or late fall is because we have the Polish music festival.
Yeah. Well, we have Polish Music Festival up here too.
Oh, do you really? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
We'd have a lot of potatoes for that, right? And among other things.
Yeah. Yeah. Bay City is like the northern Hamtramck.
Oh my god, that's kind of true. Yeah.
Skipping a question, are you one of those I like to eat ice cream during a blizzard? If yes, is your blood made of ice?
Where was that question? Did I miss that?
That's number 12.
And I put my own comment in there.
I definitely eat ice during blizzards.
I will eat ice cream.
I run cold.
I'll eat ice cream anytime. That's another thing I would save at the end of the world.
Isn't it such a Michigan thing though? It's like it's blizzard out. Time for the moose tracks.
Mm-hmm.
So good though.
It's so true. Rebecca says grilled cheese.
Oh yes.
Let's see. Leo says, I also recommend acorn squash and dumpling squash. They're absolutely delicious. Well, Leo, you might have to make that for us one of these days, especially for me, because you know me and a potato. Yeah, like, ooh, right amount of cream and butter with salt. Oh, you're talking about potatoes. I thought for a moment you were talking about ice cream. I'm like, that'll be a no from me.
But yes on the potatoes.
Yes, with like a million A's on the potatoes.
Now I'm wondering what potato ice cream would taste like.
I'd try it. Coffee ice cream is my favorite ice cream. Okay, I don't know why I had to say that, but coffee ice cream is my favorite ice cream.
Mint chocolate chip.
Ooh.
I love mint chocolate chip too, but I also eat the Skinny Cow ones because I like the way that the sandwiches are. But moose tracks are my favorite. If I just straight up do ice cream,
right on.
I love me some like good cookies and cream too. Like cookies and cream is so yummy. So we're really like. Our topic's going way off today, but I love it. I'm living for it. So, where were we at?
Number 10.
So if you had snow but no cold weather, would you still have the same opinion of the weather? What if you had like a sunny day in a sunny day in the summer, but it was like cold out?
So like if it was winter and you had snow, but it wasn't cold, would you still feel the same way about winter? And if it was sunny out, but cold, so if it was like you still got the sun, but it was like really cold like it is in winter, would you still feel the same way about summer?
Okay, so I guess I need some, like, because that's very subjective. Like, what do we mean by cold? What do we mean by, you know what I mean? Like
if it's 20 degrees out, but it's sunny during the summertime, so like you get all of the perks of summer where everything's growing and stuff, but it's still cold out.
I think 20 would be too cold for me. Like I'd be like, no, like like now there are some summer days like in June sometimes where it might get like in the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's perfect. Like I love that. Like that's great.
Yeah. My perfect temperature range is between 50 to 75. Anything above 75 is bullshit. And anything below 50, then I got to put on a coat and I'm just inconvenienced.
So what if it was winter out? Like if snow wasn't cold, how would you feel about that?
I'm having a hard time visualizing this because it has to be cold to have snow. Like it has to be a certain temperature for there to be snow. So
if it was just like the fluffiness of snow, if you got snow, but it wasn't cold.
If I would love it for a small amount of time.
Pass. I don't know how to answer the question.
That's good. Like I'm imagining like what if we live in some alternate reality where like precipitation is solid in the summertime somehow.
Or in the winter, it's solid, but it's not cold.
But it's not cold.
So it's sort of like cotton, kind of, but like natural cotton. like coming from the sky.
I like
pass.
I would only want it for a small amount of time because I feel like that would be difficult to navigate. Like, imagine trudging through that all summer long.
I would love winter if it wasn't cold and I could just play with material.
It's funny, like I sometimes like cold, but in like short stints, you know. Like today when I had to shovel for like an hour in the cold, I was not happy. I was mad. Anyway, so I love that tangent we just
Rebecca says she feels like that Utah was the warm but snowy like. So you could ski in a sweatshirt and it was sunny. Oh
yeah, interesting.
Oh, that makes sense because it's dry instead of damp, so it would feel warmer. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that clarification, Rebecca.
Kashana likes 60 to 80 degrees. Leo prefers 60 degrees. I would say like I can deal with like 40 to 75.
Yeah.
I'm like 60 to 110. Like I don't feel like it's a hot day unless it's like over 100 degrees.
That's fair.
And that's when I start to feel the crunch of it. But most of the time, I'm like, bring it on. I'm fine.
I just want to bring up, I think most people are with like the 50 to 75 degrees because that's why places that have that most of the year, that's why it's the most expensive to live there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I loved Kaishana's question. Like, what was the topic today?
I have no idea.
That's a very good question. We're asking ourselves that question too. Hey, we're still talking about wintertime, so it is within topic, I suppose.
That's
right?
true.
Do you ever get cabin fever in the winter? Yes, I do. A lot. Yeah. Like in February, it bothers me. Like I need to get out.
The last couple of years, I haven't had cabin fever just because of the pandemic. So I'm like inside all the time anyway. So like I don't really get like stir crazy like I used to. I used to get stir crazy where I was like, I gotta get out of the house. I gotta go do something, anything. But now I'm like, nope, not anymore. I'm like, just put on some Netflix or something. Maybe I'll go to see a movie sometime this week. Maybe.
Right. I mean, usually, like, I alleviate cabin fever. I'm like, oh, I'll go to the store. I'll pick up some stuff or something. And then I'm like, oh, okay, I've had my fill of people for the day. Doesn't take much for me to have my fill of people of the day. How about you, Sherri? Do you ever get cabin fever or anything?
Not really. I mean, sometimes I just want to get in my car and drive. Like, I guess that's my version of cabin fever. But you can do that in the winter as long as the roads are clear. You know what I mean? So
sure.
It's not really a seasonal kind of thing. I don't want to generally be around people. Like I like you people are okay, but like big crowds of people I don't know. No.
Oh yeah, like I'm the same way. Like being around you both, like I'd be like, it wouldn't be socially taxing, right? But like going to Meijer, I'd want to crumble up and crawl under a rock, basically. Mm-hmm. So
I know I'm okay as long as I don't make fun of Madonna and then I'm on your bad list.
Yeah, Ari was in the doghouse today just for the chat, so just so y'all know, we had an issue.
We were talking. Leave the chat. we had like this elaborate idea of us three creating like drama TikTok accounts and like pretending that we're in a feud with each other just for fun.
Would you guys subscribe to that?
Say so in the chat.
Like, how dare you insult Gaga? We're at war. I'm kidding. But that's really how it would go. Okay. So
you know what though? You can't take my mood down today because my new husband just like followed me on Instagram, so everything's good.
Tell everybody about it. You need to. You have to.
So John Hamm, probably one of his interns, really. But John Hamm followed me on Instagram today, and I'm very excited about this because I'm kind of a super fan. And apparently that means that the protective disorder or protective order is expired, right? Is that what that means? I could be within 50 yards of him again. So. Order of protection. That's what I was trying to think of.
Oh my goodness.
Personal protection order, PPO.
Yeah, PPO. Yeah.
Leo says, "Shut up and take my subscription."
Yes. One.
So what are your strategies to get through the winter blahs.
I already know Sherri's. It's snuggle up and cozy with John Hamm.
I mean, yeah.
I don't know. I definitely like making hot coffee or tea or like hot chocolate. And that kind of brings my mood up. I do this thing where I make mochas, like poor man's mocha, where I'll make coffee and then I'll stir in some hot chocolate into the coffee and like some sugar.
I do it too. It's so good.
It's so good.
So
Poor man's
good.
mocha.
That is really good.
It always lifts my spirits. I don't know why. It's got that coffee goodness with the hot chocolate. I'll put on a good horror movie. Horror movies are so good in the wintertime. I think it's because you're like a captured audience. Like you can't leave the house. So you have to be like super invested in it.
100% my brain heard you say horror movie, not horror. 100%. It took me a minute. I was like a beat behind. I was like,
I mean, you know.
That's not all what they said.
I watch horror movies too, but like not as much as horror movies.
I actually spend time in my studio when I'm feeling the blahs. Like when I'm just feeling like I just don't want to do the things. That's when I'm like, okay, when's the last time you made something? When's the last time you created something? Get your butt in your studio. And I started this when I was an undergrad. Like the deal I made with myself was like, I just have to be in my studio. I don't have to make anything. And then I'm fine. Because I had terrible work ethic when I was in college, right? I was like, I'm just going to be in my studio and I'm just going to sit here. And you can only, and I was like, and 2 hours. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do 2 hours. I can read books. I can do whatever. So I'd go in my studio and you can't be in there that long and not start to make something when you're surrounded with all your stuff, right? So eventually I would like get into it and then it would like, and then I got into good work habits. So like when I fall out of that good work habit, I just do that to myself again. It's just like, okay, every day we're going to go in the studio 15 minutes. That's all you got to do. You just got to get through 15 minutes so you can go F off and watch YouTube videos again or whatever you want to do, right? Never fails, right? I'm in there for a few minutes. It's like, well, I guess I could pick this up and I could put that thing away. And then next thing you know, I'm like getting things out and I'm making stuff again. So it really helps. And it keeps the brain moving forward and it keeps you, keeps you alive.
I really like that. It's similar to what I do when I'm feeling like the doldrums of winter. Like I will spend time in my office, like with my books and stuff and writing stuff. And usually that pulls me out of it. Otherwise, I love spending time around my plants. Like, I mean, Ari, you've seen it. I have like and you've probably seen pictures, Sherri, as well. Yeah. Like I have like a whole sunroom full of like 60 plants. Like if I'm really, it's my jungle. Like, and if I really need to experience the green of summer, I'll be like, oh, that's beautiful in here. And usually that helps me quite a bit. Kaishana says working on my hobbies and being with my movies during the winter time. Rebecca says piling on the cats. Same here. Kaishana says drinking hot drinks to keep my body warm. Yeah, I like that too. Like I go through I drink a lot of coffee all year round. We know this, but like in the winter time, I will find new and inventive excuses. Animal Crossing for Leo. And we have agreement that Animal Crossing is amazing. Lately, I've been playing a lot of Pokemon. That's been getting me through it.
Mm-hmm. You playing the new game?
Yes.
How is it?
Panda, where you at, Panda? You got to chime in on the new game.
Chapter 3. Here's how much I love it. I'm kidding. It's amazing. Everybody, I remember before it came out, they were like, oh, it's not going to be that good, but it's actually... It flipped the script. It's really, really, really good. It's like an open concept, open world Pokemon game, and it's really fun.
The last Pokemon game I played was Sun and Moon, and I got about like a quarter of the way through that game before I was like, I don't know.
I mean, those ones were really different. Like that was like a hard break away from like what Pokemon was like typically.
Mm-hmm.
So... have you ever tried a light box or other therapeutic devices, meditations, or strategies to help you get through your seasonal doldrums?
I have a light box, but I never use it because I'm afraid my cat's going to eat the cord.
Fair. I just remember you were I think it was last year, you were like, I'm gonna get a light box, damn it. Like I'm gonna
Yeah, I said something about, I was like, yeah, I need to get a light box. It'll solve all my problems. And then I got a light box and it was like super cheap. It was only like $30 or something. But I was like, I'm never using this ever.
So you've not even taken it out of the box once? You don't even know if it works?
I have taken it out of the box twice.
Okay.
And that was in late fall, early winter when it started to get dark out. And then I was like, this light hurts my eyes. It's too bright.
It's so funny. I mean, it's not, but it is funny at the same time.
I live in Michigan. I can't handle all this direct sunlight. We've ruined you.
Oh my goodness. I have not used any like devices. I mean, I have enough growing lights in my house that I literally could just stand in my sunroom and feel like all the light I need, you know? Leo asks, what is a light box? Ari, do you want to answer that?
So basically it's like it's an LED light that's really bright, and it's usually like square or rectangular shaped. And you turn it on and it gives you basically vitamin D without being like because you're supposed to turn it on for like 20 minutes a day, because they say that's how much vitamin D you're supposed to have every day to get the most out of it. But I think it's not infrared, it's LED and
ultraviolet.
It might be ultraviolet, but it's like a specific type of light that mimics the sun.
Yeah. Leo says, now that I'm learning tarot, I think that's going to help me get through more. That's good. It seems like the common thing is like, as long as we have something to focus on, like that seems to get us through, right?
Rebecca.
Oh, we clicked out at the same time.
I have a light box on my desk, but I forgot to turn it on until just now. And she literally did the most Midwest thing ever. She said, oh.
Oh, thank you, Kaishana, for joining us tonight. It was great seeing you.
Hi, Kaishana.
We'll talk again very soon, okay?
Yeah.
And Panda, yes, Pokemon Arceus. I love it so much.
What's Arceus about?
Okay, so I don't know if should I spoil it.
Just give a spoiler warning.
Spoiler warning: if you don't want Pokemon Arceus spoiled,
close your ears.
Away. Essentially, it is the story. It's a very good story. You are essentially a character who's like transported in time, like back like some hundreds of years or like maybe even 1,000 years, and you basically are charged with creating the first Pokedex and exploring the Pokemon world for the first time in like this medieval Japanese style looking world. It's really cool.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah. And then Sophia agrees on coffee ice cream. Yes. You want to know how bad I've been? I've literally made myself a cup of coffee and put a dollop of coffee ice cream in that coffee.
That sounds amazing. And you're a little bit of a genius.
Oh, I mean, I was a barista for 10 years, hair flip. So I would hope that I would know some coffee thing. But no, really, it's so good.
I like coffee with French vanilla ice cream because it's so good. And you mix it up and it's like cream, but like it's a little bit sugary too.
That is
apparently it's like good. A German, it's from Germany. Like they do that in Germany, apparently. I don't know. Now you're going to look it up, aren't you?
Any excuse to buy ice cream.
I did make a note of it. Okay, so we are at our final question of the evening. For some, like, it seems like this episode's gone by really fast to me. I don't know if it has.
It really has, yeah.
Maybe it's because we've been laughing most of the time, which I am living for. That this is the serotonin boost I've needed all week. So thank you both and all of you watching for that.
Oh, so
Oh, go ahead, Ari.
Just to add it aside, so it is a German thing. It's called Eiscoffee. So it's literally ice cream coffee.
Hey, straightforward. I love it. I'll have to look it up though. That sounds so delicious. So if you generally dislike the winter, is there anything you do like about it? Likewise, if you generally like the winter, is there anything you dislike? So opposites, you know. So I generally dislike the winter, usually. However, I do love snow. And I love, like I was mentioning earlier, that feeling of just walking outside when it's snowing heavily and it's like just this very, it's like this weird feeling of like vastness combined with like feeling like you're being cozy, if that makes sense. It's such a really nice feeling. Ari, how about you? You dislike winter, but what do you like about it?
So the things I love about winter are I love all of December. There's something about the mood leading up to Christmas or Yule, depending on what you celebrate, or Kwanzaa, Christmas, Hana, Kwanzaa. There's something about the mood, like there's something in the atmosphere in December that just feels so welcoming and loving. And like it's like, yeah, it's snowing out and like it's very wintry out, but like there's a general goodwill towards your fellow man in December. Like it makes everything about winter like kind of magical. It's just like a magical time. And then January hits and everybody's like waking up from their hangovers.
And everybody's
like,
terrible.
Oh, I've got these goals that I have to do. Guess I got to get on the bike. And like, so it's sort of like January hits and it's like this almost car crash feeling of like, it's winter now.
It's funny that you say that because my partner would disagree. He'd probably say that people are worse leading up to Christmas because he worked retail.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna go with. Like I don't see what you see. Like I worked retail for 100 years. I hold my age well. And it was like the worst. Like people are just awful people. And like the whole Christmas season, it's just about commercialism. You know what I mean? It's the commercialization of, and it's capitalization, the capitalist system that we live in. And it just makes me angry. Like that's the worst part about winter. Like once that shit's all over, then we can finally enjoy the winter and enjoy the season.
Yeah. Like I agree 100%. And I think for me, like if I can like remove myself from that commercialization and focus on like the beauty, like for example, like I used to really love decorating for Christmas and it took me a long time to get back into it. And now I like that again. Like I feel like there's like a lot of bonding experiences around Christmas that I think are really, really wholesome. Now, I personally hate Christmas shopping. Like, I find that to be the most stressful thing in the universe because you're navigating people who are all frantic and we're all...
And not all wearing masks.
Like,
When
I first bought this house 20 years ago, my ex-husband and I put the kibosh on Christmas gifts. Like, we're... in our 30s, like we don't need anything else. Like we have a house, like blah, blah, blah. Like, please don't fill my house up with shit. I am good enough at doing that on my own. You know what I mean? Like I don't need other stuff. And like, and his mom was a compulsive buyer. And so she would just like spend way too much money. And so then you'd feel guilty because she was already in tons of debt and she just got herself in more debt. And it was just a horrible situation. It was just this bad, like, and my mom was kind of the same way to some extent, not anywhere near as bad as Judy was, but it just made you feel guilty because you're just like, you don't have this money to spend on me. Please don't. You know what I mean? So then I just got all these, and then I worked retail also. So it's just like, I worked at Best Buy, all right, in the 90s. Yeah.
I am so
Christmas
sorry.
time. So I'm just saying, it was the worst.
I am so sorry.
So, like it just like soured me against gift giving, and so we just like put a kibosh on it. And for like almost 20 years, I didn't do gifts at all at Christmas, and that was the most blissful time where it was just like all we do is we just hang out with each other, we just have fun, and we have some food, and we would have friends over and have a little party, and it was just like so much fun. And like, if you want, if you see something and you buy it for somebody, fine. But it's like, please, do that outside of the party. You know what I mean? Like, this is just, hanging out and just having a good time and just, friends being friends. And it's an even playing field. And gifts in my current relationship, gifts have been brought back into my world. And it's just like, ooh. I just fingernails on a chalkboard. I really fight against it because it's just so frustrating. It's the whole thing. Ugh.
I just feel like there's like an expectation, like a performance expectation. That's what really overwhelms
It's very
me.
performative. Yeah, it's very performative. It's like, why can't we just hang out and talk to each other? Do we need these objects for us to have something to talk about?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Ari, what were you about to say? I cut you off.
I don't really like the gifts about Christmas either. It's just a general feeling that I get about the Christmas season, but it's just like, for me, because I haven't worked like a straight retail job, the most retail I'd say I've done is I worked at a gas station. So I don't have that like association with people who are angry and like not wanting to do this, and like
you're so lucky.
I lived a
gonna race that.
life.
You know, it's interesting how there are different like types of horrible, because like when I was because I worked at like clothing retail stores,
right?
People are angry, but when I worked at a coffee shop for 10 years in a strip mall,
I bet
people were angry all the time. Like, especially when they didn't have their coffee done, like if they weren't clear enough on what directions they wanted. Like, I'm so glad that I'm out of that.
That was same thing. Like I worked, retail and clothing too. And that was like, it was bad, but it was mostly messy. Like in general, people were kind of in an okay mood, but working electronics, working at Best Buy in the frickin' 90s during the height of the tech boom, it was just like miserable. It was just constant. It was just constant. Ugh.
Yeah.
And everybody was nasty all the time.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
So like, Sherri, what do you dislike about winter?
What do I? Well, I mean, kind of the Christmas gift giving and all that kind of stuff. So the lead up to winter, I guess. I don't really consider December winter proper so much because it's kind of winter light. You know what I mean? It's kind of its own thing. But driving in really inclement weather, that's the thing I really don't like. If I have to drive somewhere, we kind of skipped over the scary thing that happened over the wintertime. So when I was in grad school, I live here in Bay City, and I went to school at Wayne State. So I had to commute to Wayne State a couple times a week.
Wow, that's a long way.
So it was the end of the fall semester, and I was headed in to do my final project in one of my art history classes. And I had this great presentation, and I was like, not going to miss this. Well, of course, it was one of these weird weather days. So there were like 3 different weather patterns, like on the way between here and Detroit. There was Bay City, Flint, because God hates Flint for some reason, and then Detroit. Like it was 3 completely different weather patterns, and Flint always had the worst of it. So usually if I could get through Flint, I was fine. If I get through Genesee County, I was fine. Well, this was one of those weird days where the further I got down to Detroit, the worse it got. And it just got worse and worse and worse. They always get way, way worse weather than we get up here. Way worse weather. So I'm heading down. It's getting worse and worse and worse. At one point, there's like sleet, freezing rain, snow mixed hybrid, and it's blowing sideways. What? But I was already down by, what's the big mall? I can't think of the name of the big
Great
mall.
Lakes Crossing.
Great Lakes Crossing. I was already down by Great Lakes Crossing. Like I'm already almost there. You know what I mean? I'm like 15 miles away at that point. I'm like from Midtown. I'm like, I might as well just push on and go. And like traffic's going to like 40 miles an hour. I'm an hour and a half late already for class. I'm like, I'm going. I don't even care. I show up. Actually, I showed up an hour and a half late. I think must have been like 45 minutes late or whatever. I show up an hour and a half late for class, plastered with like snow and sleet, breathing heavy, make it into class. My teacher just looks at me. She's like, what are you doing here? I'm like, by the time it occurred to me that it was bad, I wasn't turning around. I'm here. I'm giving my presentation.
You know what? You got to admire that commitment.
Wow.
It's just like, there was no safe place to turn around. I'm like, I'm just going. By the time I came back, it was much better. They were able to salt the roads and everything. So it was much better by the time I left Detroit. Thank goodness. And then I'm driving out of the storm. So it was better.
Right.
You were like, I'm committed. I'm doing this.
Right.
This presentation needs to get over with.
So I'll do it, but I don't like doing it. That's my least favorite part about winter.
I would say I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
For me too. Yeah. Well, my friends, this has been a hoot and a half of an episode, and I'm loving it. So, in a nutshell,
yeah,
we love winter for some reasons. We hate winter for some reasons. Winter can suck for some reasons and be great for some reasons. So, I sound like a Dr. Seuss book right now.
When I saw in the chat, a lot of people were saying, or at least I saw a couple people were saying things like, talking to friends or whatever, or keeping yourself busy with your hobbies. You know what I mean? Like that seems to be maybe, I don't know if there's some kind of takeaway from this, right? But like, I think it's so important to like reach out and not allow that, I don't want to victim blame anybody who's going through any depression or anything, but like, try not to let that settle into yourself. Try to reach out as much as you're able to, and do the things that interest you as much as you can, and don't, like I said, 15 minutes, sit down and do something. If that's too much, try 5 minutes, sit down and do something, until, you start to feel a little better about it, and it just whatever will help you overcome this time, because this can be a very serious, like we've been laughing through this whole thing, this can be really seriously crippling and
Oh,
debilitating.
yeah, for sure.
And I don't at all want to minimize that with all the fun we've been having. I think we've been just trying to lift our own spirits to some extent, right?
It's true.
Yeah. But it's a real serious thing. And I just want people to know, and if you're in this chat, you can of course reach out to us, if you need, someone to talk to. At least I will open myself up to that. I
will too, for sure.
I just made Ari and Donny commit to that. But you can reach out to us if you need somebody to talk to. And, if you're struggling, by all means, reach out and talk to somebody you feel safe around.
Yeah, we care about you. Your mental health matters at all times of year, but especially this time of year too. Well, my friends, again, as always, thank you for taking the time to join us. We really appreciate you joining us every week, listening to us laugh, have serious conversation, all of that. And we love to combine all of that in one episode anyway. So have a good night. We will see you next week and talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.